Hello Spookyfam and welcome to True Horrors. In tonight's episode we are talking about an 1874 case, Jesse Pomeroy. If I'm not mistaken, a while back when I researched this case, this is one of the first few cases where they found out about children murderers. So it's a bit of a doozy. First off, I would like to thank you guys for being so patient. My life in real life has been quite the circus lately, so my upload schedule has been little to none, and here we are fixing that. So I do appreciate your patience and your support during this time. I promise you it's not going to happen as frequently anymore. I also wanted to say, if you are the weird kid grown into the weird adult and you like things weird, strange, unusual, and true crime, feel free to become a member of the Spookyfam by hitting the subscribe button. Don't forget to leave your thoughts on the case in the comments down below. It will really help the channel out a lot, and that is appreciated. And as always, all my socials and all my links are down in my description box. Let's get into it now that all that boring dribble is out of the way. In 1859, Jesse Pomeroy was born into a working-class family. His mom, Ruth, is a very important player in this case. She had a heart of gold and wanted nothing better for her children. His father, he had a couple brothers, and then he had an alcoholic and abusive father. His father was very, very abusive, specifically to Jesse, and not so much his brothers. So he got the brunt of it. This made him feel angry all the time, and he would start taking it out on wild animals. His mom took notice of it, but just thought maybe it was just a temporary thing, so she thought nothing of it. Unfortunately, Jesse ended up telling a small child to come into the woods with him. He ended up tying his wrists together, hitting him over the head with a blunt object, and hanging him in an outhouse. When the child's body was found, other kids were telling police of an older boy. Now see, Jesse was young, but he was big for his size, so he was constantly bullied for that. Bullied at home, bullied at school. So the kids couldn't really describe Jesse really concretely. Is that even a word? they just couldn't get a concrete identification that it was Jesse. So unfortunately, the cops could not arrest him for that murder. His mom, though, was absolutely devastated. She was getting so tired of the abuse. She was like, okay, screw it. I'm packing myself and the kids up, and we are moving to South Boston. She wanted a fresh start for everybody, and most importantly, she was really worried about Jesse. She wanted him to grow up without the abuse and was hoping that he could get over it. Unfortunately for her, Jesse had a dark streak, and his crimes kept getting more frequently. More frequent, more dangerous. His bullying got deeper. In one case, he bit a classmate and actually took out chunks of his cheek. Another classmate, he stabbed in the gut. There's just so many, cutting their faces open, all of this. And they happened so frequently that they were able to make an arrest for those crimes. Luckily, those children were okay. They were hurt, but they were all right. All right. Sorry, I was saying okay and all right at the same time. That just doesn't work. But anyway, he was able to be sent to a boys' reform school where he was actually released on good behavior. So, of course, this made his mom really happy. She was thinking, okay, great. We found everything that was wrong and we fixed the problem. But she couldn't have been more wrong. Now, see, his mom owned a shop. And he was running the shop that day, and a little girl named Caitlin, I believe, yes, Katie, came on in and asked for a notebook. Jesse, of course, took this opportunity to be, well, Jesse in the most dark and morbid way ever. He told the little girl that the notebooks were downstairs and that she was to follow him. Of course, she was trusting the shopkeeper and followed him. Well, when she did, this was unfortunate, but he slashed her throat and stabbed her in the lady area, and he hid the body behind a water closet. I had to reference my notes to make sure I got this fine. After he did the crime, he simply washed himself up, got better clothes on, and basically just went to work like nothing happened. He didn't tell his mom, he didn't tell his brothers, he told nobody. He just did it without no sadness, no nothing. So, a month later after the crime, he was trying to lure boys again so he could get his victims. But it stopped working, and it's because of his reputation. It had started to tarnish now in South Boston. People were kind of getting creeped out by him, and they would just get this really bad feeling when they were around him. So the kids were starting to know to look out for him. Now, this is what gets me. There was really no justice for Caitlin, and that pisses me off to no end. But there was a 4-year-old boy who Jesse ended up stabbing, and he was arrested for it. He even confessed to doing it, but then as time went on and he thought mommy could come in and maybe sweet talk the police, he kind of, went back on the story a little bit. So they're like, okay, but obviously his reputation, he's known for his violent outbursts. Well, the arrest for stabbing the 4-year-old caused so much backlash that his mom could not stay in business. So unfortunately, she had to sell the shop. Now, because of this is the only reason poor little Katie's body was found. Because they were moving everything and they started to smell something and just something wasn't right, and they went ahead and looked around and they found her body. Jesse did admit to the crime of Katie to his mom and his brothers, but he never went to trial for that. He only went to trial for stabbing the 4-year-old boy whose name was Horace. And that, my friends, is what he got 41 years in solitary for. It's like they completely didn't even bother. They were like, okay, yeah, we know there's nothing we can do about it. And that, whatever. Didn't even try to give a little justice to that little girl. It's pretty messed up. Now, his mom would always go visit him when he was in solitary, up until the day she died. She was really trying her best and was hoping that, even if he didn't live at home, he didn't have to be alone. And hoping that there was some humanity in her son. And she had to be a strong lady to deal with that. He ended up in 1917 rejoining the regular prison population, and then in 1929 he moved to a prison farm because his health was starting to fail. He died in 1932 at the prison farm, and he was 72 of natural causes. So he did end up being locked up for the rest of his life, which is good. He couldn't harm anybody else, so it's good that that happened. But it's still kind of frigged up to me that they didn't even bother being like, yeah, you know what, he did the Kate thing too. Give the family a little bit of closure, I would think. According to my notes, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. At least 10 known victims. Only 10 known. We have no idea how many other kids got either killed or, severely injured and was too scared to point out who. Because remember, he was bigger than everybody else, So, I don't know, but a lot of them, tortured by beating, tortured by whipping, tortured by beating, whipping and biting, beating, slashing, stabbing, beating, slashing, stabbing. Like, this kid was clearly messed up, and he definitely got the dark streak probably from his daddy's side. This case I was kind of iffy about talking about because I know it's children and stuff and people get a little weirded out by that, but I feel like if somebody is evil, not in the way that movies portray, but there are people who are just bad inside and out no matter what, then the proper thing would be putting them somewhere away where they can harm people. it's a shame that it took so long for them to do that. And like I said, we only know 10 of the victims, so who knows what sort of rampage this child went on in his anger. It's unfortunate. It sucks. I wish none of that on anybody. It says here he was known as the Boston Boy Fiend because he targeted other little boys. And that's why it was kind of weird that Kate was in there, you know? So this case is a little odd. It does have an ending. It's not one of our open-ended ones. But let me know what you think about this case in the comments down below. If you have a specific case that you would like me to look at for true horrors, please let me know in the comments down below as well. Don't forget to give a thumbs up. It would really help out the channel. And don't forget to check me out on Twitter and Instagram. I do not add anybody on my personal Facebook. That is just for family and friends in real life, just so I can have some sort of separation from, you know, my online life and my personal life. I do have a Desdemona Productions page on Facebook, though, if you would like to like that. That will be helpful. And nothing else. Stay spooky, stay weird, and as always, I will see you next Thursday for Weird Theories. We are talking about Rosemary's Baby. That one I'm probably going to seem a little unhinged when I talk about that one, but you know what? We're in the Spooky Fam. We don't judge. We're all a little weird in the Spooky Fam. So, without further ado, I am going to leave now. Oh, I just remembered. I got a tattoo appointment coming. I gotta leave now, and I'm going to go